Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in this section, we're going to talk about the LinkedIn value template. This is going to be one of the outbound strategies you can use to generate meetings with total strangers. And it's a little bit different from some of the strategies we talked about, whereas the strategies we talked about before, it's more like direct response marketing, where you would send a message, and if the person is interested, they would book a meeting. And if they don't respond, you follow up and then they book a meeting, right? And this one's a little different, where you're not asking for the meeting right away. Instead, you're trying to offer value first and then ask for a meeting later. Now, both strategies do work. It just depends on what you want to do, how soon you want to ask for the meeting and make that ask, or if you want to give value first. So if this one fits more your style, then go ahead and give it a try. So how it's going to work is there going to be 4 different messages that you're going to send, right, over the course of, a few days. You want to wait maybe 3 to 7 days for each message that you send. And the first one's going to look like this, right? So you send the connection request, they accept it. And you're going to say, hey, John, great connecting with you here. You can even take out the hey, John part if, to make it more conversational. So you say, great connecting with you here, John. That also works as well. I wanted to reach out and offer to be a resource on, and then what industry, market, or whatever value you provide, right? So for example, I wanted to reach out and be an offer to be a resource on digital marketing or, whatever the case is. So if you ever need help with anything, let me know. Looking forward to hearing from you. And then, best Patrick, right? You can actually take this out if you want, right? So you don't need the formalities of, hey, Patrick, or best Patrick, or whatever it is, because, on LinkedIn, it's a chat, right? Because the first message that you send, you might have already said, hey, John, wanted to connect with you, blah, blah, blah. And then this would be the second message where you could say, hey, great connecting with you, John. I want to reach out about blah, 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 and this and that. So essentially what the person's going to respond and be like, oh, I actually need help with digital marketing. What did you have in mind? And you can kind of start the conversation and then, ask for a meeting later. Now, people don't respond to this one, right? And they don't need help right now. What you can do is this. You go to message number 2. You say, hey, John, I want to reach out to you and invite you to our, if you have some kind of group, Facebook group, LinkedIn group, so our social media marketing group, where we talk about how we help local gyms get more clients in a local area, whatever it is. So if you're looking to, connect with like-minded individuals, feel free to join the group here. See you inside the group, right? So you don't need like the best Patrick, you don't need the formalities at the end because it is a chat. So if you do have some kind of group where, it's free and it's a public group, people can join and you talk about, the problems people have and how you solve it. And then that's how you, get them to book a meeting with you. Then you definitely want to use this strategy. Now, if you don't have a group, that's totally okay because you can use different type of messages, right? So it could be something like, hey, John, I noticed that a lot of people and then you talk about what problem people in a specific industry experience. So I wrote an article on how to solve that specific problem. If you're interested, check out this article here. Let me know what you think. So this is if you or your company you work at has, marketing material that you create to, get people warmed up and, they read the article and then they book an appointment later. So it could be like something like, let's say you help startup founders, raise venture capital money. So you're an expert on who, how to get startups who raise money from some of the top VCs, right? So if that's your niche, then you would kind of say like, I help startup founders raise money from some of the best venture capitalists. So I wrote an article about, how you can get started even if nobody knows who you are. So if you're interested, check out the article here. So what you're doing here is you're leading with value, right? And this requires you to obviously create some kind of content, or it could be that you share another person's content, whether it's an article or something that's relevant to them. And, you can piggyback off of that, but obviously it's better if, you or your company write it and, you're providing value. So when people see it, they're going to click the link, they're going to read it and be like, oh, that's kind of interesting, right? So they might respond to you after they, read that article, or maybe on that article, there's a place where they can book a call with you, or when you follow up later, they're going to be a little bit more warmed up because they read that article, and now your chances of getting a response is higher, right? And the important part here is to actually send stuff and write stuff that's actually relevant for the specific person. So you can't just, pick a random article that you find online and send it to everybody hoping that, after they read it, they're going to book a meeting with you. It has to be hyper relevant for that person. And that's why it's called adding value, right? Because if you're just spamming people with random articles, that's not adding value. That's just junk mail, basically. So make sure what you're sending, what you're writing is relevant. Like, it solves a problem that your target audience has. So from here, what's going to happen is, whatever message that you're going to want to send next, You might send a couple articles to them in different messages. You might send, maybe a LinkedIn post or a video, right? So for this kind of example, it doesn't have to be an article. It can be maybe a YouTube video that you guys create, right? Or a video on your website. And then basically for the, fourth message, or if you want to keep adding value, then maybe on the fifth message or sixth message, you actually want to ask for a meeting. Basically, you just want to use any of the direct response templates that we talked about in this course, and just say like, hey, I noticed that you're in the marketing industry, and I actually help companies like yours do XYZ. So if you're interested, feel free to book a time on my calendar where we can talk about how we might be able to help you out and see if we're a fit to work together, along the lines of something like that. And by adding value first and then doing the ask maybe on the fourth, fifth, or sixth message that you send to them, they may be more likely to actually respond because you added value first and then you ask for a meeting, right? So if you want to ask for a meeting on the first message or the second message, that's okay too, because that also works. But if you're in an industry where you can't just be messaging everybody asking for a meeting, and you want to lead with value first, those are some examples of how you can do this. So that's it for the LinkedIn value templates that you can use. And so with that said, go ahead and give it a try, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.